Hello, YouTube. This is Bash bringing you here for, in fact, APL Little Cup Season 2 Draft Recap. Oh my god, I am so hyped. I have actually never really played LC before, I guess. Well, I did this LC tournament, but this is really first time of actually doing a full draft and actual season of LC. We did have a little thing for Crash in the off season, but that didn't really count since we were actually it was just an off-season thing. So this should be really interesting. I've never uploaded LC, so let's see how this ends up going. As you're gonna see, our draft is a little weird, but we're gonna have to deal with it. So coming into this draft, there is, I believe, like 20, 24 players. I think it was something like that around there. And out of all those picks, I ended up with the last pick. So that means I get a wheel pick. Yeah, that's pretty hype right there. Because that means I could, but less likely to get sniped. But you're going to see that's not going to make a difference because I'm going to get sniped a whole lot this entire draft. So we're just going to have to work with it anyway. So coming into this first pick, I was looking around. I was hoping that something like Ponyta would fall to me. That could be really cool because Ponyta is a very big just fire powerhouse. Kind of like it just hits really hard and it gets a really good coverage moves, which is what I was looking at. Then there was things like, well, let me look at the tiers again. I was also looking at getting Snivy possibly. I was just debating between Snivy and a couple other mons. I was also thinking about grabbing. Uh, a more defensive kind of mon with like Fungus or something like that, or Marini, something like that, or even I was thinking about Rufflet as well, but I decided to go a different path. I don't know if I'm gonna regret it. We'll see. It's gonna be a fun one though. I end up going with Munchlax first. Now Munchlax here is a very thick boy. This thing it has the ability thick fat gluttony, all that, but gluttony's not really going to matter with the fact that it can run berry juice, which is really nice for it, with the ability to recycle that berry juice over and over again. It's also a very good Eviolite user. It's a very good defensive mon, but I believe it gets set up as well. I think it gets cursed. I'm not sure if it gets belly drum or not, but that could be interesting as well. And it's a really good way to start off a really defensive core. It is the slowest mon, I believe, in LC, so that's something to note. So I'm looking pretty good in that kind of sense, so I cannot be trick roomed against me. I will not be beat, I don't think, by trick room in this situation at least. So Munchlax, very hyped to see this mon here. Never used it before. I'm very familiar with Snorlax. I love using Snorlax, so this shouldn't be that much different. So hopefully it works out that way. But because this is a wheel pick, I wanted to make sure I grabbed my Dragon now. See, with LC, Dragon is very spammable in this because there's not many fairy types, and the steel types don't get any reliable recovery, and some of them are really frail too. So I wanted to go with this Dragon. I was thinking about going with Tyrant. My favorite LC kind of mon, my original mascot, before Como kind of thing, but I decided to go this way because I just had used Tyrant in the tournament, so I decided to go with Axew. Now Axew is a monster. This thing is hits so hard, which is why I kind of went with this kind of pick. Gives me a good setup, and it's able to hit really hard, and it can be sort of bulky too as well, which is really nice. Hits super hard with outrage, like super power, poison jab, those kind of things. It just, oh my god, it's just going to be really hard for opponents to switch into this unless they have a really reliable mon. Or really reliable, I guess, fairy type with really good recovery. But even then, poison jab's still going to hit so hard. This thing gets good setup moves and Dragon into Swords Dance, and it just hits really hard, which is why I was kind of looking at this for this kind of a pick at least. I actually really wanted to use Axew before, but for the tournament I ended up using a Psychic Dragon team, so it's really weird. So, but I couldn't fit Axew onto that team, so I decided to go with it now. I'm very interested to see how it actually does. So, let's see. I believe with my next week. So coming into this next pick, I wanted to grab Sand at this point. I wanted to grab Jober. I was hoping that would come back to me. I was going to try to get Jober Hippopotas to help with that kind of core, which could be really exciting. Getting that ground Sand core right there could be really good in taking down Steel types that might be bothering Axew. That might try to switch into Axew. So that's kind of where I was leaning towards at this point. Let me get the draft up. Okay. So, but some things happened, and actually both of them ended up getting taken. Not one, but both Hippo and Jober both got taken, which was unfortunate. I mean, they were both a very good mon, so I understand why they got taken. It just made it a lot more difficult for me to with my draft, and because of that, I'm going to have to. I want to grab my steel type now because a lot of steel types are being gone off the board too. I believe Honedge was mono when mono I was looking at Pharaoh Seed as well. Both went off the board now before my pick here. So I want to grab my steel type to help pressure and Alolan Sandslash. I was looking at Alolan Sandslash too. All of them went off the board before this pick. So I decided to go with. I decided to grab my steel type now. Very interesting mon. And we are grabbing Klink here. Klink is so sick with the shift gear. It doesn't get many coverage moves, but it doesn't really need it because it hits pretty hard, and it's a pretty decent actually switching to fairy types too, which is very interesting to know. And it can pressure them out with gear grind and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about Klink. It doesn't really have that much versatility, but I've used Kling Klang very well in the past. With its even though that's not really versatile, I was able to make it versatile with the kind of what I ended up running with it. But hopefully, I could do the same with Clink. I'm pretty excited about Clink. Very interested to see how versatile it could be in this format because it's LC is a lot different than a regular standard draft league. So with this pair, I was looking around, right? And I didn't know what to do at this point. And I saw one mon still there. I believe in tier B, which is even crazier, tier 2, whatever. I'm shocked this mon was allowed. I've used it before in the past. This thing is an absolute monster. I used this in the Crash off-season thing. But this thing is just a monster to switch into. And actually, this mon with the item, has more special attack than Mega Mewtwo Y. Like, just think about that for a second. Like, it's just absolutely insane. But we're going with Clamperl, the jewel. The Clamperl is absolutely insane with the Deep Sea Tooth. I think it's Deep Sea Tooth or Deep Sea Scale. I think it's Deep Sea Tooth is for the offensive. But Clamperl hits so hard with that. As I said before, it hits harder than Mega Mewtwo Y with that kind of, which is absolutely insane that this is an LC and in fact tier B. So, and this thing also gets setup opportunities with Shell Smash, and like, oh my god, this thing is just gonna take live. It's not that fast, I understand that, which is pretty much gonna be the summary of my entire draft. We're not fast really, so, but we have opportunities to, we don't need to be fast for this kind of team, and I think Clamperl could put in the absolute finest of work this season on LC. So, going into my next pick, I wasn't sure which way to go. There's a lot of things that were taking this round that I was looking at. And because of that, I wasn't sure what to do at this point. I was thinking about not to. Honestly, I was thinking about not to, which could have been cool. But I was thinking about also grabbing a good mon to deal with fighting types at this point. And because of that, because of Munchlax and Clink all having the same weakness, I don't have any resistive fighting types right now. So I decided to grab something that resists fighting and can switch into it pretty decently well, and that is Solosis. Solosis is a very cool mon. I'm surprised it's still around. I think it's very good, honestly. It gives you a pretty good setup. It does a lot of things with like Reuniclus does, and it has an insane special attack stat. I believe it's like base 105, which is very good for an LC mon. This thing gets a lot of good coverage moves as well, such as like I believe Focus Blast, Signal Beam kind of thing, Shadow Ball, so it can hit a lot of different mons. And with this mon, it can also gives good utility options as well, which I'm not going to reveal now. Hopefully nobody notices about it this season, but we'll see, I guess. Because I will be bringing the utility I'm thinking of right now, probably this season, at least a couple of times. So hopefully people don't realize, I guess, don't see it. So. And with this, I end up grabbing my ground type. As I said before, I didn't. I want to pressure those steel types to allow Axew to perform that much more uh, better, I guess. And I was looking at the ground types left. I wasn't a big fan of a lot of them, to be honest. Um, there wasn't too many things that looked really cool. I mean, if Alolan Diglett, instead of Clink, I was thinking about Alolan Diglett for a while, because of the fact that, but it turns out that it was actually franchised from last season, so I can't grab that. But this mon was pretty hyped, I think at least. I've seen it used pretty well in the tournament and stuff like that. So hopefully that can I could use it well as well. And that is Sandile. Sandile is kind of scary. It has the Intimidate Moxie kind of thing. There's a lot of the same things that Crocodile does, although it does not have knockoff, which is something to note. But it does provide a cool typing in ground and dark. Ground allowing me to have more immunity to electric types that pressure Clamperl, as well as be able to take down those steel types that want to stop Axew and Solosis from doing their thing. And I could also have now a Pursuit Trapper, which is always amazing in this kind of format, to take out those ghost types that Solosis doesn't want to deal with, kind of thing. So that's what I went with this mon. And at this point, I just started drafting a bunch of things I wanted to use, sort of, because of the fact that I don't really know this format as much as some of the others. So I decided to grab a little more mons to bring more. Well, I want to use some different mons here, and because of that, I shifted my draft a little more towards that. So, as I said before, this draft is really slow, and I did not end up grabbing much speed at all. So, coming in my next pick, I wanted to grab a Tier D or whatever. I can't even speak right now. Oh my god, Tier D. On, and it gives me good utility and rapid spin. And it gives me good priority as well, which I thought was really good especially since based off the team I'm looking at right now, it's kind of slow. Priority is always nice to have, and that is Tyrogue. Tyrogue is interesting, honestly. It has really cool abilities with Guts and Steadfast kind of thing. It has good priority in Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, Fake Out, those kind of things. I'm not sure if it gets Sucker Punch or not. I need to check into that, but those are pretty cool type moves. It gets Rapid Spin, which I love to get rid of those rocks. Even though my team's not weak to rocks at all, really, at this point, it's a really good choice. I think a chance to get some hazard removal, because that means I can get my rocks up, and then I can Rapid Spin my opponent's rocks and stuff away too. The reason I would say this is probably Tier D is because it can't touch Ghost types really at all, but I think we'll find a way around that. So. It's not the worst thing in the world. And I love the priority that it gives us. And the fact that it could be a Flame Orb Guts set. It could just absolutely break mons with it. So that's really cool too. So along with this mon, I decided to grab a flying type. I realized I wanted a way to actually deal with ground types pretty well. And I thought a flying type would be nice. And I grabbed another remover, and this one has Defog too now, so now I'm not just blocked by a ghost type kind of thing. And that is Swablu. Now Swablu is very cool here. It's kind of unique in a way that it's kind of like more of a defensive kind of mon. I've used Mega Altaria very well, I think, in the past, and I think Swablu isn't that different too much. It's not that bad coverage wise too, so that's kind of why I was able for. It was a good defogger. And it's, I believe, does it get? Well, it gets reliable recovery too, which is always nice on a team. Especially since I believe the only mons with reliable recovery is Solosis. I mean, Munchlax, I guess, sort of, but not really. So basically, Swablu and Solosis are my only mons with reliable recovery at this point, which is kind of why I went this way, option 2. It helps me deal with grass types as well, that want to pressure Clamperl as well. So that's something good to know. This does this does add a problem in the fact that electric types could be still a little annoying even with Sandile there. But I think I paired that up in the last. I think I deal with pretty well with it in the last couple two picks, um, which I'll tell you in a second. As the last two picks are real picks, so they'll come in a couple right here. But at this point, I was gonna grab Badoo. That was the initial plan. I was gonna grab Badoo or Skorupi, because I wanted well, I wanted more Badoo kind of thing for electric resist, but I also wanted spikes. And I also wanted a poison type because I did not want to be T spiked up on. So that was something I wanted to note. And both of them happened to get taken, which is unfortunate because I would have totally waited on Tyrogue or Swablu if I knew that ahead of time. I thought Badoo was not going to be taken. And Skorupi was taken too, so we're gonna have to go with this mon. It doesn't get hazards, which is annoying, but it's a good grass and poison type, and it gets good utility, and that is Oddish. Has Strength Sap, which is very good, honestly, to be able to shut down some of the physically offensive mons. It also gets Chlorophyll, which is really cool to be able to use against a Sun team kind of thing. Little spoilers for a match, but that's something they're gonna have to prep for, which is something I want them to think about in their prep. So, this thing also gets reliable recovery, which is nice, and it can hit pretty hard with its two coverage moves, I guess. And it gives me a good electric resist too. So now I have really two good really electric resist, and it gives me really good grass resist as well for the Clamperl and Sandile. So that's something good to know. And with this last mod, I decided to take this mod because of my boy Crypto. So at this point, I was looking through the D tier. There's not much left. I wanted Bonsly from D tier, but that got taken because I wanted another rocker because I only have one at this moment. But sadly, that got taken a lot earlier. I would have taken it earlier, but so I kind of went with this mon. I did it for Crypto. Because there wasn't much. Well, there wasn't much left in D tier that I really was looking at that I wanted. I guess like the best thing that I was thinking about that was left was I was looking at a fairy typing Cleffa or Ralts. I was looking at those, but I didn't really think they were that. I don't really like. I would just use Ralts, and I didn't think it was that amazing. And Cleffa doesn't get rocked, so I wasn't really looking. I was like kind of like iffy about that. I believe was I was looking at Grubbin for a while too, or I was also looking at the flying types such as Hoot Hoot, Pidove kind of thing, Pidgey, but I felt like that would be too repetitive with Swablu, and I also I believe was looking at Wimpod, which got taken right before me too, which could have been really good. I was really looking at Wimpod for this last spot. Which could have given me some decent speed, and it gives me spikes, but that got taken as well, so that's unfortunate too. But we ended up going for shout out to Crypto Vibes, old time very good friend, Mareep, which I'm definitely naming after Mareep after Crypto. So Mareep gives me a very powerful electric type. It doesn't get momentum, which is unfortunate. Did not I realized that a little bit right before I drafted it, unfortunately, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it. This thing can hit really hard. It gets good, kind of cool setup as well with Con Guard and agility, and it hits really hard. That's what it really does, and it's a really good electric resist too. And it has static, so getting a static off of something could be really nice in with like momentum kind of position. Because if I can get statics off on things, it can make it could definitely turns the game around pretty quickly if that happens. And of course, I grabbed it for Crypto. So that's our team we are going with this season. There probably will be transactions, but I'm gonna hold off until for them until like week 3-ish, 4-ish, probably until I probably decide what to do with this team. Because it's very slow, as I said. Basically, I think my fastest mon is like about base 65, so it's something to really note. Meaning that my opponents could probably run a lot more investment in their HP, or they can run like a modest admin kind of thing, which is going to make it a lot more difficult to switch into mons. But Uh, it's my own fault. So we're just gonna have to deal with it this season and maybe move some things around because of it. So thank you all so much for watching. Definitely check this. This week one will be going up next week. I believe we are playing Alice, so I believe she's pretty good at Elsie also, so that should be really exciting to start our week one off with that. And thank you so much for watching. I guess see you guys next week.